Hello and welcome to the Colorado Health Foundation's Grantee Orientation Webinar. My name is Erin Brown. I am the Vice President of Community Investment and Impact at the Foundation. Let's go ahead and get started with our agenda. I will begin with the introduction to the Foundation and describe how we work together. Ryan Seifert, Senior Director of Grant Making Operations, will follow with important information on grant agreements and amendments and the grant reporting process. And Taryn Fort, our Senior Director of Communications and External Influence, will provide communication resources. Finally, we'll offer an overview of frequently asked questions. At the Foundation, our mission is to improve the health of Coloradoans, and we keep health equity at the heart of all we do. Because of this, it is essential that every step we take creates fair opportunities for those whom health is furthest from reach, due to avoidable, unfair, or systemically caused differences. We are working to advance opportunities to pursue good health and to achieve health equity through grant making, strategic investments, policy advocacy, convening, learning, capacity building, and much more. We believe keeping equity at the heart of our work will lead Coloradoans to better health, and we know racial justice is a key pathway to achieving it. That's why we prioritize Coloradans of color and address the deepest, most historically entrenched inequities that affect health. Our work, and that which we expect from our partners, is rooted in three cornerstones. We serve Coloradoans who have less power, privilege, and income, and prioritize Coloradoans of color. We do everything with the intention to create health equity, and we are informed by the community and those we exist to serve. This commitment is centering both equity and justice extends to all aspects of how we engage in the work. Generally, you can expect to hear from your PO at least one time per year. Share good news, let us know when things aren't going as planned, or alert us of staff changes. If your program officer changes, you will receive a call or email to introduce you to the new program officer. Ideally, a meeting will be scheduled. You'll receive a letter with contact information for your new program officer. If you do not know who your program officer is, please use our Find a Program Officer tool located on our website to get their name and contact information. To get to the tool, navigate to our website at coloradohealth.org. Then drop down to any of the main menu items under Quick Links. Click on the Contact a Program Officer. From there, scroll down to Find a Program Officer and click Let's Get Started. You'll be asked to share your location and your priorities. Building strong relationships with our grantees is critically important to our work. We value openness and transparency, and we strive to be as responsive as possible. Our goal is to provide a response to all grantee reports within 60 days of receiving the report. In our response, we will acknowledge and comment briefly on the substance of the work. We intend to respond to grantee email or phone inquiries within 1 business day. If one of our staff members is out of the office, you will receive a notification. We will continue to communicate internally at the Foundation with one another so that your interactions are coordinated. I will now hand you over to Ryan.
Thank you, Erin. Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Seifert, and I am the Senior Director of Grant Making Operations here at the Colorado Health Foundation. Now, let's discuss information on grant agreements and amendments. This includes key information about your organization and grant award. Here are a few key pieces of information to review. For contact information, on the grant agreement, you'll see that we've listed a project contact as well as a primary signatory. The project contact is the person that will be our point of contact as it relates to the specific project or activity funded by the Foundation. Note that in most cases, payments will be sent to the attention of the project contact. The primary signatory is often the person that is the head of your organization and has the authority to sign and enter into the grant agreement. You'll also see the award amount, term in months, and the project start and end dates. In addition, you can see the organization name that checks will be made payable to, as well as the address and tax identification number for that organization. Please be sure this is accurate and contact the Foundation if any information needs to be corrected. Other key information contained within the first 1 to 2 pages of your agreement includes the purpose of the project, located near the top of your agreement, which gives a high-level description of your project. Any contingencies related to your grant? Note that these typically must be fulfilled in order for you to receive all or a portion of your grant funding. Anticipated measurable reach and key grantee activities and target milestones related to your project. These sections outline the performance and benchmarks expected from your grant. We'll discuss these items along with how to report on this information in more detail in a few minutes. You'll also see your reporting and payment schedule listed on your agreement. We will send you a reminder approximately 30 days before a report is due. Once the agreement is fully executed, we will release your first grant payment, unless that payment is contingent on something else, such as challenge grant documentation or a memorandum of understanding with key partners. For multi-year grants, you can generally expect to receive your payment 45 days after submitting your progress report. Please note that we offer the option to electronically release grant funds directly into your organization's designated bank account rather than sending you a physical check. We know that within the course of your grant, you may need to make an adjustment to the overall term of the funding. We understand that delays may occur, such as a delay in hiring staff necessary to implement your funded project. As a result, you may need more time to achieve the expected results of your project. You can refer to Section 2 of your grant agreement for additional details on when to request a no-cost extension. We will typically grant you an extension to allow you to complete the project as intended, rather than having you return funds to the foundation. Changes to any milestones listed in your grant agreement do not require a formal amendment request. As appropriate, you can be in touch with your program officer about any notable changes to your plans or project. To request an amendment to your grant, log into our Flux Grantee portal and select the Request an Amendment option. Please provide all requested information, including timeframes, dates, and details for all extensions and revisions. The form will be received by our grant-making operations staff and reviewed with your program officer. You will be contacted if we have any questions or need additional information. If approved, you will receive an amendment letter from the foundation to append to your grant agreement. The letter will outline any approved changes and modifications to your reporting or payment schedule. Let's spend a few minutes discussing the Foundation's reporting requirements in more detail. The Foundation uses both an online grant application and reporting system, which is called Flux. You can register for Flux if you haven't already on the Foundation's website. Benefits to the online grant reporting program include minimizes use of paper, consistent with our online application process, and the consistency of grant reports. We require that all grantees submit reports, and some grantees may have additional requirements. Please refer to your grant agreement for details about your reporting schedule. You will receive an email reminder approximately 30 days prior to the requirement being due. Other resources to support you in submitting your report online include Sample Report Guide, which gives grantees an idea of the types of information and the appropriate level of detail needed. Note that the Measurable Reach section will be unique to each grantee. Frequently asked questions, and online reporting webinar slides. These can be found on our website. From the Grant Making page, scroll down to the For Grantees section and select Reporting and Grant Maintenance. If you have any questions regarding your grant report, need help in accessing or submitting your report, and/or you have feedback on the process or supporting resources, email grants@coloradohealth.org. You will submit progress reports every 12 months during your grant term, and a final report is due 30 days after the end of the term. The progress and final report questions are the same. The final report is simply due at the end of the grant term. Due dates for your report are listed in your grant agreement and will match the report due dates in your Flux portal. Progress reports should be submitted on or before the due date listed on your grant agreement for subsequent payments to be released. Your program officer will review the report and follow up with you if there are any questions. These reports are very useful to the Foundation. We use the information to learn about your work, and we want to hear from you about what worked well as what didn't. To complete your progress or final report, locate a copy of your grant agreement and use it as your guide or outline to write the report. The content of the report should focus on grant progress to date. The questions on the report ask for an update on one or more measurable reach numbers, if there are any specified in your grant agreement. Also, please give us an update on progress on key grantee activities and target milestones. For example, if a milestone was to hire a project director, please report the date of hire of the new director. A question on the report asks for a description of significant successes and challenges your organization experienced related to the grant. We also ask that you include an updated financial statement and budget narrative. Additionally, you may include optional attachments to share any evaluation results. A short summary of other results is welcome, but not required unless specified in the milestones of your grant. This is a sample report milestone and the type of brief response we are looking for. Please do document the challenges as well as the success in achieving your milestones. You can see that this grantee had a milestone to hire a program director by December, but didn't get the staff person hired until January. This is fine, and it may help explain any deviations in grant performance if the program got a late start. Again, here is another sample milestone and report response. This example shows what contributed to the successful achievement of the milestones. This is an example of a lesson learned by the organization. This intervention is successful when parents receive child care and a meal at the time of service, clearing 2 obstacles and enabling them to successfully complete the curriculum. There is a sample report complete with fictitious responses on our website that you are welcome to use for guidance as you complete your report. My best advice is to use your grant agreement as your outline, since that document spells out what you intended to do during the grant term. You'll also be asked to provide a brief summary of how you spent the grant funds, and if you have fully spent the money you've received through this grant. You do not need to give us line item detail on what the funds were used for. Your summary should be clear that the funds were spent as originally intended through the purpose of the grant, and if they were not, please briefly explain why. That's it for me. I'd now like to turn it over to Taryn Fort, who will talk about your communications partnership with the Foundation.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Sharing news of this important partnership between a grantee and the Foundation is a really easy way to maximize the impact of your work through strategic communications. And we're here to work with you as you identify ways of making this information publicly available. We created guidance for all of our new grantees on communicating about your grant award. This includes information on our name usage, logo usage, organization description, as well as guidance on press releases, quotes, and social media. It's important to note that we don't require that you obtain written approval of communications about your grant, with the exception of any quotes that you may want to include from a Foundation staff person in your press release. Let's review some of the guidance now. We've recently created new guidance for our new grantees on communicating about your grant award. This guidance, found on our website at the URL you see on the slide, includes information on our name usage, logo usage, organization description, as well as guidance on press releases, quotes, and social media. Different than our previous approach, we no longer require that you obtain written approval of communications about your grant, with the exceptions of quotes you may want to include from a Foundation staff member in your press release. Let's review some of the guidance now. The Foundation, like many of you, has specific style guidelines regarding how we're represented in communications. Let's review some of them. When referencing the Foundation, we ask that you refer to us as the Colorado Health Foundation, with an uppercase "the" preceding our name. If you need to use an acronym on second use, we prefer the Foundation. Our logo is available on our website for download. You can find EPS, JPEG, and PNG files in both color and white. If you'd like to include a description of our work at the Foundation, please use the organizational description you see here on the slide, and this information is also available on the website. And finally, your organization may want to share the news of your new grant award with local or statewide media outlets. We've developed a press release template to help you draft that communication. And if you're interested in including a quote from a Foundation staff member, We encourage you to reach out to your assigned program officer to discuss. As a new grantee, you will automatically be signed up to receive emails from us. This is the easiest way to hear about new funding opportunities, read our blog posts, and register for events. We focus most of our social media outreach on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our YouTube channel is where we host archived live stream events and videos. On the slide, you'll see our handles and addresses. If you haven't already, please like us or follow us, and we'll do the same. I'll also note that we do occasionally retweet or share information that we see you sharing when it feels relevant. And finally, we always like to connect folks with just a few resources that may be helpful to you, including the Communications Network, which is a national membership-based organization serving communicators who are working to do social good. The wonderful thing about Communications Network is this is a space and place for any communications professional who work in the nonprofit as well as the for-profit sector. We also have a local communications network community called ComNet Denver. ComNet Denver is free and open to anyone interested in networking with Denver area communicators who are also working to do social good. Again, this is a group that welcomes anyone from the nonprofit, for-profit sector, as well as folks who work within agencies. And then finally, the Nonprofit Technology Network also offers a number of educational resources and networking opportunities as well. Now I'll turn it back over to Ryan to review a few frequently asked questions.
Thank you, Taryn. Lastly, we will review some frequently asked questions. Does a no-cost extension need to be completed for changes to milestones in our grant agreement? A change to a milestone in your grant agreement does not require a formal amendment request, but we do recommend that you stay in touch with your program officer and let them know of changes, especially if the change will impact your overall time frame or the expected outcomes of the project. Can you give me an example of what kind of program challenges we would document in a progress report? You might mention challenges such as hiring delays, trouble recruiting program participants, or a shift in your sources of funding. They could be expected or unexpected challenges that you've experienced during the period covered by your report. If there are funds left over, can we add some additional components to our program? How do we seek approval for that? Talk to your program officer if you have funds left over. We will often work with you to extend the project so you are able to use the funds, but it really depends on the circumstances. How long does it take to get approval for a grant amendment? If you provide all of the information needed in your amendment request, you can typically expect a response from the foundation within 2 weeks. We'll let you know if the time frame will be significantly longer than that. Can we apply for additional funds to expand our existing program? For how many years at a time? Talk to your program officer if you are interested in seeking additional funding for a current project or grant. This concludes the Grantee Orientation webinar. Again, we encourage you to reach out to us with any questions about the content we covered today. Thank you for joining us as we work together to improve the health of Coloradans.